that bad boy tuck. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought.
Success! Oh my god! I've never been so happy for a stinky 1-0 away win. But I tell you what, guys, this is Chelsea heritage. This is why, as much as I thought Pochettino was a nice guy, if you turn your team into a brothel where anyone can score, you will not get Champions League football. You will not compete for titles. You need to be able to defend. You need to be able to bring on a Lavia for an attacker, a Gusto for an attacker, stink the place, up. Chelsea heritage. Nottingham Forest 0. Chelsea 1. Levi Colwill. Chelsea finish not even 5th. We didn't need the 5th place coefficient because we finished 4th in the Premier League, qualifying for Champions League football, 3 points clear of 5th place Newcastle, who also qualify for Champions League football, and only 2 points off current champions Man City. In fact, only 5 points off, the darlings of the Premier League, Arsenal, who always finish second. We have the possibility to have a better season than Arsenal and Man City because we have, just like them, qualified in the top 4, not 5, 4, and we can win a trophy. Oh! Enjoy it. Breathe it in and subscribe. Welcome back to Football Therapy. I'm feeling good. I had a drink. I waited until things were looking good and Man United were doing us a favour. The permutations were big in this one. I tell you what, we might be happy that Man United scored a couple at home against 10-man Newcastle in the end, but not as happy as Newcastle United, who they themselves lost, but due to Man United doing something for their fans for the final day. They also qualify for the Champions League in 5th place. Yeah, guys, welcome back. Thank you for supporting the content as always. Football Therapy, as always, and will always march on. So I'm really thankful for your support, for everyone who comments, likes, and subscribes. We are going to talk about this game. We're not so much the game, but more the ramifications. Enzo Maresca, in his first time of asking, has qualified Chelsea for the Champions League. The first time in 3 years we are in the Champions League. And like I said, it is impressive that it's 4th and not 5th, because 5th is like, oh, you stumbled into it, you blagged. 69 points with 3 points of clear of 5th. And just a couple behind Man City, who comfortably got in there in the end. It's the optics for... Okay, we're going to get into Maresca, the project, the ramifications of this football. But it is a success. Look, it's a successful season. The pressure's off now for Real Betis game. I mean, I hope we win it because I've been very firm. I do want to win the Conference League, be the first team in Europe to win every single trophy. I think it will be very, very, I'm reiterating here, I've said it before, I think it will be very important for the youngest Premier League team, this young Chelsea squad, to lift a trophy. Oh, this is nice. Let's keep doing this. The Conference League could represent a gateway drug into better trophies. So I do want us to win that, but in terms of the general success of the entire campaign, it's been a success because you've got the Champions League money. You've only been, and this is Enzo Maresca. He's only been bettered by Guardiola's Man City and by 2 points, by the way. And they spent hundreds of millions in January, as well as on top of their superstar squad. So only 2 points behind him, 5 points behind Arsenal, and of course a little while off Liverpool, but they had a magnificent season. This is Maresca's first campaign with a very young squad. We finished in front of Newcastle, the very impressive Newcastle that didn't have any European football this season. They've won the trophy in the League Cup. Well, the League Cup, yeah, because they've done very well. They've won a trophy. They've got very senior players. They've got Alexander Isak. They've got a really robust, incredibly talented midfield. They've even got, good defenders. They've got a good team, Newcastle, and Eddie Howe is a seasoned Premier League managing veteran, yeah? We finished 3 points ahead of them, and they had no European football. Aston Villa, of course, the darlings of the Champions League, spent loads of money, heavily heavily reinforced in January. Also, much like Man City, spending a lot of money. And by the way, I will be covering Aston Villa because they are in big financial trouble. They've got the highest wage bill to turnover, so they will be in trouble. And actually, it's a shameless plug, but my second channel, Football Yannick, I upload every single day on there about the biggest footballing stories in world football away from Chelsea. There'll be a link in the top of the description. I'll be talking about Aston Villa's failed gamble. And look, as much as, rightly so, for a lot of reasons, the Chelsea sporting directors, the hierarchy, are much maligned, they will be feeling very happy with themselves because they didn't take a gamble in January that would have cost them. They will say, look, we didn't spend all this money in January, which a lot of Chelsea fans said we should, and we still did it, which means now we're in a much stronger position to recruit for next campaign. We are in a much stronger position. We can get, the striker, this guy, we can get an extra player here, we can spend this extra wages there. In theory, we should be in a much stronger position in terms of the project, literally the project, the future of our team. This was such an important season because we've been out of the Champions League for so long. Even if the Europa League would have been a step up, it would have been disappointing. It's not really good enough. The Champions League is a huge success, and like I said, everyone's been waxing lyrical about Aston Villa, about Newcastle, and indeed our opposition today, Forest, and they all are behind us. The children of Chelsea Football Club have done it. We haven't been perfect. We've got a lot of problems, but we have put ourselves in a position where we can solve those problems. This is our game today. Look at the table. Oh, look at this. We're up there with these man. Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City, Chelsea. Yeah? 2 points off Man City is a bigger drop to 5th in Newcastle and Aston Villa and Forest. Yada, 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 yada. We are sitting at the table with the big boys, despite it being Maresca's first season. And look, I'm not some big... Don't swear. Maresca stan. I like how he talks sometimes. I like how we started. We were doing really well. But I've been concerned about him often, yeah? But what I do like, and maybe it's because I'm a Chelsea fan of a certain vintage... I do like being a tough team to beat, being able to grind out results, not playing risky transitional football always. I know that's not sexy, but it's Chelsea. This is Romeo Abramovich wanted to turn us into a Barcelona for a while until he learned, winning is sexy. The sexiest thing of all is winning. This is Chelsea. And this is the game, okay? So we lined up against Forest. They played a 4-1. They played a diamond, it looks like here. Diamond? Yeah, with Sangare at the base, Dominguez, Anderson, and Gibbs at the tip. Gibbs White tips of the diamond. Alanga and Wood, of course, we did see Hudson-Odoi. Maresca made the correct decision in terms of what we had available. He didn't play Tariq George, a striker who got lost against Man United's defenders. He would have got eaten alive against Murillo and Milenkovic. So we played Neto there. He played Sancho on the left, Noni on the right, Palmer in the 10, Fernandes, Caicedo. Reece James, who, let's have a look at his heat map, played as a right-back, right centre-back hybrid, which is the correct decision. He's our captain. He does the right thing. We saw Cucurella playing as a left-back, sometimes inverting into the pocket, but not often. And would often be a back three of Colwill, Tosin, and Reece James. Sometimes a back two if we were safe in possession. Caicedo, Fernandes, and like I said, substitute appearances. And this is why Maresca is growing on me again, because he's not being too much of an idealist, a dogmatic, philosophical manager. He's going, Lavia, sort of defensive midfielder, intelligent, functional midfielder. Gusto, a fullback for an attacker, and Dewsbury Hall, of course, he can be quite functional and defensive as well for Madueke, who played on the right wing. And then we saw, obviously the likes of Silva, Yates, and Hudson-Odoi coming on for Forest. The truth be told, it was quite an even game. But I think we sort of let them have a little bit of the play once we went ahead, once we heard that Martinez had been sent off for Aston Villa, once we heard that Man United scored, and when Man United scored the second goal, all we needed was a draw, and we were a goal ahead. So, it was about not letting them score 2 goals and taking our opportunity after they were, being really, really risky, as it were. Yeah, pretty even possession. They don't like having the ball. They had the majority. This is probably why they lost. With 3 big chances to their 2. There were, really high profile missed chances. Who was it? There was 2 chances. There was Enzo Fernandez putting the ball across in the corridor of uncertainty and Sancho not meeting it. Where's your striker? Cole Palmer doing it. Neto met it, but he didn't finish properly. Where's your striker? Glaring hole with Chelsea. We all thought Mark Yu might come on. We didn't need him in the end because we needed runners, presses, and all this kind of stuff. Not that he can't press, he presses really well, but perhaps players that have been more ingrained to this particular game plan when he's been injured. And so yeah, real obvious moments there where, we needed a centre forward and maybe a centre forward scores at least one of those chances. Fortunately, Chris Wood had a bit of an iffy finishing day and it served as well. They edged us on expected goals, but we had one more big chance than them. And for me, guys, I will say it now, it was a Chelsea performance because we dug in. We ground out the result. Everyone knew what they were doing. And we've already done it. Look. Celebrating fourth, let's be honest, is very Arsenal of the last 20 years. And we were worried about celebrating top 4 as the Arsenalification of Chelsea. And that may be true. But I'll tell you one thing. It's a step in the right direction after the last 3 years when there has been... Look, man, we finished 2 points behind Man City, who were relentless title winners and massive recent spenders. Newcastle have been, the middle class of the Premier League has been juiced up. This is why you got Forest, Villa and Newcastle suddenly playing really, really well. And then you play games against Brentford, Bournemouth and Brighton, and indeed Fulham and Crystal Palace. And it's not a gimme anymore. The Premier League is hard. From the middle upwards, it's really, really hard. There's lots of good players and... you got Forest and Palace winning the cups. It's different gravy granules at the moment, mate. Do you know what I mean? So yes, I will celebrate 4th. I would have celebrated 5th, but I'm definitely celebrating 4th because it historically means you're good enough for Europeans' biggest competition. And like I said, we're sitting at the top table with City, Arsenal, and Liverpool. It's not like how it used to be. PSR rules have changed the landscape legitimately. The Abramovich team of old would struggle in these new confines. It's different to conventional FFP, but by then, even when the original FFP came in, we'd already been juiced up. Chelsea, theoretically, should get better. Yeah? I'm sorry, I know it's a lame thing to repeat, but really, it's such a salient point. The youngest team in the league. Look at teams like Liverpool winning the Premier League. They're a really, really senior team. Newcastle, very senior team, who finished 3 points behind us. It's so important. This Chelsea ownership, and I've got large amounts of criticism for a lot of stuff they've done. One thing, and you could agree with it or not, but one thing what they have done is they've put a lot of money into the future potentially being good. We've seen Esteval tearing up, scoring a brace again, one of the best young Brazilian talents we've ever seen joining, Andrew Santos joining, Georgi Petrovic winning player of the season, coming back from Strasbourg. Chelsea should get better because reinforcements, new signings, but these young players getting better. That's the theory. This is what they've bet on, and they will argue they've done well there. As much as I've been really criticising of the sporting directors and indeed the ownership of time in terms of normalising, failure, young players, I've said it many, many times, young players learning to be losers and not winners. This is such a huge, sliding doors moment because they're in the Champions League. They've proven to themselves they can do it. We've now afforded ourselves the opportunity to reinforce with the finances afforded to us. And we should get better. We should get a lot better. It's not about, it's not about accepting mediocrity. It's about, right, this has been a massive step in the right direction. We didn't basically break the bank in January like Man City, but we finished 2 points behind them and we're in the top 4 as well. We need to win. Chelsea need to win trophies. I believe we can get there. Even if it starts with just the Conference League. And of course, this situation here makes the Conference League financially irrelevant because we've qualified for the Champions League, And the Conference League qualifies you for the Europa League. It doesn't earn you any money. For me, it's literally an exercise, a muscle memory exercise of winning trophies. And I do think it's undervalued and important, but the pressure's off now. And the season has been, from what we've come from and where we are, and the age profile and the lack of experience and the holes in the squad that should and will be filled, the season has been a success. That's just my opinion, of course. Let me know yours down in the comment section below. As always, thank you for liking and subscribing. If you like my content, if you like my commentary on football, do check out Football Yannick as well, the second channel. There'll be a link in the description, or alternatively, just search Football Yannick on YouTube. Enjoy yourselves. Have fun. We've already done it. Peace.